problem.
Look, I got fancy. Found my remote control, so that should be technically going.
The camera?
The camera.
Technically.
Technically.
We don't know.
No, but Andrew's going to check it out for us. We've got Andrew in the background today. It should. It worked
It
wrong.
should be technically
Is it running?
working.
Yes, it is running.
See? It works.
Technically. We didn't know.
We didn't know, but that's, I mean, look,
This-
isn't
for
it
the-
amazing?
It is.
That this little device here
I'm blown away.
can turn my phone on and off.
I tell you what I'm more impressed with than that little device though, is producer actually produced. He hasn't produced anything with regard to 0 to 60 in months.
No, he hasn't.
He just helped. He aided with production.
He did. And we're not paying him either.
I ain't paying before, right?
No.
I mean, neither of us really got paid before.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Did not, but that's okay. It's all about the experience.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Whatever you say.
All right,
Should
it is.
Should I hide that?
Hold on, I'm gonna grab a book and then I'm gonna
You're not allowed to be in this shot.
I don't think he's in the shot.
my arm might have been in the shot.
His voice is in the
You want to
shot.
be in the show?
No, not today.
Oh,
That's Andrew Pinkerton, everyone.
yeah.
My firstborn.
My first co-host.
Yeah. There you go. I hear a ding. Is that
Was
your
it-
phone?
Am I dinging?
He's dinging.
Oh, actually, this is John McDonald replying to the. He's not really replying to the post that I put up earlier on the Facebook page. The what do you consider to be the most beautiful car
Yes.
ever created and why? John has literally. I tried to limit that post to one. I wanted to know what you feel is the most beautiful car
And he
ever
just can't
created.
pick one.
And John literally was like, Daytona Coupe, AC Cobra, Shelby GT1,
He's not a car
Viper. He just like kept going and going and going, and now he's dinging me personally, going, "You're welcome." No, thank you. Follow the rules, John. Follow the rules.
So, awesome job, I must say. First of all, welcome to 0 to 60.
Yeah, welcome to 0 to 60. It's Monday,
Monday, June 10th.
June the
I
10th.
got the date right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's all. That's good.
You are doing an amazing job. If you're not following us on Facebook right now, get on our Facebook page, 0 to 60, because you're doing some awesome things.
We're having some fun.
You are having a lot of fun. I don't know what the heck you're doing the rest of the day because he's busy posting, but that's what the name of the game is.
I'm doing other things.
I know.
Yeah, I'm doing
I
other
know.
things. But it's thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the incredible spike in followers last week. I mean, we doubled the page last week basically.
I think I got us 3 new likes.
I'll give you 50.
I think my posts are maybe just too serious or something. I don't know. You seem to like really get everybody fired up and having fun, but I mean your news feed is so much different than my news feed because I've been stuck in the kind of the baby world for so long. So
That's a good thing. Though. We're coming at it from two different.
We
angles.
are, but I don't get to see a lot of the fun stuff because we're serious about car seat safety, and that's all I get to see about all the time.
Just
so,
pay attention to the page and what I'm posting.
I
and see
am.
the fun stuff.
I know it's a lot of fun. I want to participate, and I'm like going, oh, what car can I pick? What car? It does. It kind of makes.
What car would you pick?
The most beautiful car.
The most beautiful car ever created. Like it's.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I like a lot of different cars.
I do too, and it for me. I mean, I do. I'm.
I gotta say, my daily driver is.
Really?
I mean,
you
it's,
can't go with the
I
most beautiful
know.
car ever created.
Well, no.
Is a Volvo. What is it? An S90.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell
It's
you,
a great car.
So one of the most beautiful cars I ever got to drive was a brand new 1992 Jaguar Vanderlos, 4-door, huge sedan. It was burgundy on the outside. It was white leather interior. It was spectacular.
Pleated? Was it pleated leather interior?
I'm pretty sure
I think
it
they had pleated
was.
leather back then.
It had the fold down TV trays in the back.
Yeah.
I got to drive that. I was working at a country club as a golf professional, and one of my members came in and said, "Hey, if you want to go have a free dinner here, you just go test drive a Jaguar." I was like, "Okay." Here I was, 22, 23 years old. And Paul and I just really had been dating for a while, and his parents were coming into town, and so I asked the dealership if I can, take it out Friday night. They're like, sure, all we need is your driver's license. I mean, here they are, I'm 23, 22 years old, and I'm just getting my driver's license, they're giving me a brand new car, had 7 miles on it, and I'm driving that thing off the lot going, whew, this is cool, and I'm going, oh crap, what if I wreck it, So,
I mean, you know why they do that.
well,
right?
yeah, well.
They want you to take mental ownership of said vehicle.
And I did.
And that did, but you didn't end up with it. Did you? You didn't buy that car, did you?
No, not at that age. I
Okay.
did not.
Hey, I don't know.
No, but
you never know.
No, you never know. But so I got to keep it Friday night, but then we didn't end up meeting up with Paul's parents. So then I called them back and I said, we're not going to meet with them till tonight, Saturday. I'll bring it back Sunday. They're like, we're not open Sunday. Just keep it for the entire weekend.
That was not an inexpensive car in the early 90s.
Oh no, it was not. It was gorgeous.
This is. I still wouldn't consider that to be one of the most beautiful cars.
No, but it was beautiful.
I would go with E-Type Jaguar.
Well,
The XKE.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking, the bubble
Yeah.
long. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's one of
I'm
them.
pretty sure Paul's best man had one of those, if I'm not mistaken.
Gorgeous.
Oh, Dr. C.
Oh,
Yeah. Did you know he was our best man?
yeah. I did. Paul has mentioned that
Yeah,
before.
so Dr. C here in Birmingham's a neurosurgeon, good friend of ours, and showed up at the day of our wedding, did not try on his shoes from the Tux rental place, and tried them on that morning, they didn't fit, so they had to haul butt into town.
I know him well, and that, from what I know of, that sounds right.
So they were a few minutes late for the wedding.
It's good to know things haven't changed over the last.
No, but he's a very good surgeon.
He's incredible.
He's an incredible surgeon.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yes.
But getting back to the most beautiful car in the world. Thank y'all very much for the comments that we've been getting on posts like that. I mean, it's blown up. It
has.
The page has gone from not a whole heck of a lot of chatter to, in the last, I think, 2 weeks, we've had our reach is up like 70,000.
Yeah, and legitimately, but Facebook is a little freaked out. They, by the way, paused our ads. We did a few ads just to spread the word. And did you realize that? I just looked.
They freaked out.
There's like what the words are. There's unusual activity with your account.
It's because people are actually paying attention.
I mean, we woke the page.
That's
all you did.
Yeah, that's all it did.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You get placed in Facebook jail periodically if you're doing things correctly, and I think we're doing things correctly. So.
Well, it's all about giving you guys the content that you want to see, and that's what we want to cultivate. So keep making the comments, send us messages, share things.
Yeah, if there's something that y'all want to talk about that we're not talking about, by all means, shoot something our way and let us know, what's going on out there in the world that's pertinent to vehicular coolness right now.
We should probably talk about why we're in a different location.
Oh, okay.
Because this looks a little different than our first two podcasts.
What do you have to say about that, or should I mention?
Well, no, I mean we're in my home.
Yeah, we're
cars in the kitchen.
We're in our kitchen.
We're at cars in the kitchen. Your place was the air conditioner still not working.
It's half working.
It's half working, and lots of noise.
It's a 40,000 square foot building. Other things are going on in there. The air conditioning, for whatever reason, it works in one side of the building and kind of works in our side of the building right now. And the weird thing is I'm typically the only one in there on a daily basis. But we've had some other folks in there working on some projects, and it's just been chaos.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
I had to pull out the personal props. We've got one of Andrew's racing helmets here. Yeah.
Professional race driver.
Andrew paints helmets, by the way. So if you want a customized helmet, I'm going to put him to work.
Oh, okay.
Well, he started Pinky Skid Lids several years ago, and then just got busy with school and everything else. But he'll do some helmets. Yeah. He's more of the nostalgic kind of guy, so you're not going to get something like a King. What's his first name that does all the helmets?
Oh my God.
Question of the day. What's his first name?
Why do you want to do that to me? I'm picturing all of the motocross stuff that he's done over the years.
I was thinking Rodney King, but that's not him.
That is not, no. Oh my God.
Well, when Andrew.
Yeah, here's the blank.
Yeah. Oh well, you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
But Andrew goes, likes to do a lot of throwback stuff, and he admits he doesn't have the artistic ability like that. He's not like an artsy fartsy kind of guy. He's just pure old school racing helmet is what he likes.
Basically, it's James Hunt's helmet, but recreated in many different ways.
Exactly. So you can follow him over at Racer Pinky and get in touch with him
It's
there.
gonna drive me crazy.
You'll think of it. You think of it. And then because all my boys are such entrepreneurs, Max, in order to earn money for his karting expeditions that we are on, I told him, you've got to.
I'm looking it up.
Okay. I said, you have to earn money, and because that's what you want to teach your kids. You want to teach them to work for what they have. You can't just hand it to them on a silver platter. So I said, what do you want to do? Because I can make these motivational signs. Paul, my husband, has a bunch up in his office that he just looks at every day. And so Max started finding quotes that he liked and putting them on different things. And I love this one. I mean, this is not necessarily, well, I guess it's motivational. Running an airline is a normal job. Racing is more. That's a tribute to Mr. Lauda. So anyway, if you want to buy these, reach out to me on 0 to 60. We're selling them anywhere from $25 to $50. Part of the proceeds is going to go to Children's Hospital and the research for childhood cancer and blood disorder.
We just got a new house. We'll put one in our house.
So it's a good thing. We want to teach them how to make money, save money, donate money, and spend money. So those are the key things that you want to do with kids.
He's racing now. He's going to know how to spend money.
Yeah, he's not going to have a problem with that. But
yeah.
So he's got a few for racing, a few just for motivation. Got some girly stuff too. He did some with pink and purple and blue and all that good stuff. So very.
I kind of want that one.
Yeah, I kind of want that one.
You probably want to keep that one.
No, I want to sell them. I want them out of my house.
All right, cool.
We have about 15 of them. So.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I made them work. I told him, I said, you got to make a bunch, and then if it works, you need to keep making. And then I thought he's got to think of other things to sell. I make an awesome chicken wing rub. I think you've tasted my chicken wings. Yeah. I've had friends that tell me I make the best. They've been to chicken wing competitions and none compare. So I feel very flattered, and so I might bottle up my spices for my chicken wings and let him sell those.
Okay.
How's that?
I'm trying to think of what you'd call it.
I know, Mama's rub.
No.
We'll come up with something.
No, I don't think no.
That doesn't sound right.
No. We're going to back away from that. I was trying to think of something more motorsport related.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. What?
How do you tie in Rubbin's Racing with your dry rubbed spices?
Rubbin's Racing.
Rubbin's Racing.
Rubbin's.
It's a stock car saying it. We say it at the round tracks, the circuit track. Yeah. Rubbin's Racing.
Rubbin's Racing.
Yeah, he didn't hit you. He didn't wreck you.
Okay.
He rubbed you.
He rubbed you. That's kind of cool.
Rubbin's Racing.
For somebody, you've got a pretty good accent. For
I can throw on some Southern if I need to. Yeah, I can get right on down there with the Southern.
We'll think.
And I'm from the South.
Well, that's true.
Most people are like, "You're from Virginia. You're a Yankee." I'm like, "No, I lived 30 minutes from the capital of the Confederacy for the most of my life."
I know, but you don't really. Virginia's like its own.
Don't even.
Okay. Okay. We won't go there. Of course, I grew up in Miami, Beach, Coral Springs.
Yeah, that's definitely
that's not Southern.
That's not Southern at all.
But then Jacksonville, Florida. So, all right. Have you figured out who it is yet?
Troy Lee.
What?
Troy Lee is the guy that I was thinking.
No, it's not Troy Lee. His last name's King.
That I don't know.
Okay.
Troy Lee.
Text Andrew and ask
Troy
him.
Lee Designs Troy Lee is the guy that really first broke out as a helmet graphic artist.
Text Andrew. He'll know. He'll know what it is. So we have a lot to discuss today. Great weekend of racing. A lot of things happened. Exciting controversy. Some great racing with Indy. And
did you watch the IndyCar race?
I did watch the IndyCar race.
You're gonna have to talk about it.
I'm gonna have to talk about it.
I didn't watch the IndyCar race. I watched Formula One, but I didn't get. I ran out a lot of time.
Well,
Brett King.
Brett King, that's who it is. Brett King. Okay.
Troy Lee was before Brett.
Okay. Problem solved. It's Brett King. Anyway, he's no Brett King, but he's good anyway.
There you go.
He's great at it. IndyCar race was great. Joseph Newgarden. Lots of crashes.
Yeah, I mean, I did hear about the crashes. It was Texas. Texas is crazy.
It kind of scares me, that track.
It's crazy fast.
Yeah.
There was several years back. There were like drivers were blacking out.
Yeah.
Because of the G load in the corners, and they actually postponed the race.
Wow.
Because they were driving in so hard that the blood was literally leaving their head, and they would drive down into one, and somehow they'd set the car in one and not remember going through one and coming off two, and they sort of snap out of it when they straighten the car up on the backstretch, and that track is, I hate to say this because, I mean, fast is part of racing to a certain extent, but that track is maybe too fast for that type of car. And I err on the side of safety.
Sure.
I have to. I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to driver safety, it's a real thing. It's a real concern. And I know there are a lot of fans that are like, I want to see him go faster. I want to see him go faster. And
well, you don't want to see everybody die.
No, you don't want
have any racers.
You don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Right.
You don't want to, hurt, much less die.
Right.
And I don't think speed is the be-all, end-all of the show when it comes to racing. I've never thought that. I think the more important thing is for whatever cars that are out on the track to be able to interact well enough with each other to actually pass each
That's
other.
what I was going to say. I like the excitement to me is the passing, and also the maneuvering if there is a crash and how they maneuver and get out of the way.
Yeah, but the cars need to be nimble enough, and they need to be able to run close enough together without having what happened at Montreal, which, do we want to segue from Indy straight to that, or do we want to? You have anything else with IndyCar?
No. But I was going to say also the pit stops are kind of cool, because that kind of makes the race too. Like who has a really good pit stop and a really fast pit stop, and who's picking the right tires and the strategy, and so there's a lot more to it than just the speed.
Yeah, and I mean I'm more of an endurance race guy than I am.
You're not built for speed, is that what you're saying?
No. Don't get me wrong. I'll go 200 mile an hour with the best of them. I have no issues.
I will not.
I will all day. But I don't necessarily see it as the be all end all. I want to see cars that can pass. I want to see cars like I wish NASCAR would rip all of the aero. I want the front splitter and the rear spoilers down to about 3 inches tall, and I want to see them running 900 to 1,000 horsepower and on 10 inches of tire. And seriously, they would go Mach 43 Mach 43 in a straight line, and then they would literally have to slow the car down and drive it into the corner.
That part.
And well, I mean that's where you'd see the drivers take over. And obviously I'm exaggerating on the size of tire and everything, but I would rather see cars out there that have the ability to pull out and pass, and for a driver to have to properly set the car up on the corner entry and drive it through the middle of the corner and track out properly with enough horsepower to make the pass either going into or leaving the corner, than all of these cars that are high downforce. They're stuck to the ground by the hand of God, basically. It takes a monumental error to get them upset.
Right.
And then because they have all that aero, you can't suck up to the car in front of you and actually get your car to turn because it's got no air in front.
Right.
It's weird. I don't
And you were about to segue into the F1 race.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
I did watch that. I was stomped up and down on that.
The aero wash was definitely what I think caught Vettel out. Vettel was driving into the corner. They never really showed an angle that showed who was in front of him. But I think there was a car or maybe two cars that weren't quite on line in front of him, close enough to cause turbulence, because it looked like when he turned the car
I think
in,
he just lost it.
I think that the car looked like it started to understeer to me. And if it started to understeer, I don't think he was really too quick on entry. I think that somehow the air in front of him, there was a lot of turbulence, and it sent him off.
He had to speed up to get, back on track,
That's where we differ. That's where we differ. And I mean, we asked this question on Facebook earlier, and we've got both sides of the argument have been stated. A lot of people are saying they think it was just good hard racing and there shouldn't have been.
I think it was. And you know what? If this had been a real world crash scenario, Hamilton would have gotten the ticket, because he was clearly out in front of Hamilton, and he could have seen to either back up or get around. I mean, and then what bothers me is if Hamilton didn't say a word, I don't think the team principal would have gone and filed a review.
Well, after the race, Hamilton said he would have done exactly the same thing that Vettel did in that situation.
Exactly. So he's just a crybaby sometimes.
Well, all of them are.
I know.
At least they're not playing football, like European football.
Right.
At least they're rolling the ground for
fun. They are so funny.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. But yeah, I
The best part, though, was Vettel taking the sign. Well, he wasn't even going to go to the podium. Then I guess somebody
He was so mad.
I've never seen him so mad. So, and then Vettel came back to the podium area where the cars were. He didn't bring his car up to the podium.
I'm sure there's a fine.
I'm sure there is too. But he took the first place stand and moved it and put the second place right in front of
to where his car was.
Yeah. That wasn't too bad.
It was funny, and the crowd loved it, and
I mean, F1 needs something to entertain people.
They do.
You know what?
They do. I still say, looking at it from at least, it's my perspective, so I'm right in my own mind. I don't have to be right.
My kids say I'm always right.
I don't have to be right according to the whole world. I just, I know that there are folks out there that agree with what I think because they've chimed in.
Right.
I've actually read the comments. He left the racing surface, and he was on the throttle in the grass. Whether that actually was to keep the car on the intended path or whether it was to stay in front of Hamilton or at least try to stay in front of Hamilton, we'll never know. But he made the mistake. It was his car that went off into the grass. It then becomes his responsibility to come back onto the racing surface
in a safer manner,
as safely as possible. I think he was on the throttle because he knew Hamilton was there.
Well, of course, he's leading the race.
But on the radio, right after it happened, Vettel is like, I didn't know he was there. I had no idea where he was. Bull crap.
Well, yeah, that I can agree with.
On a scale of 1 to bull crap.
That is definitely
all the bull crap.
Well, he knew he was right there, but anyway, it should just be. That was just good racing.
Go ahead. No, it was good racing. Go ahead.
I mean, to me, if you screw up and can recover and get back on the track, that to me is racing. And so, I mean, technically Hamilton was still behind him when all this happened, and he could see him trying to get back on track. So to me, Hamilton should just be like, whoa.
I don't think Hamilton should have been anywhere near him.
Right.
Hamilton saw that unfold in front of him.
Exactly. So he
should have lifted and let it happen.
Yeah.
And he could have still been right there.
Right. Anyway, we could discuss this forever. Probably.
We could, and we probably should.
Yeah.
Because it's worth discussing. Had I been Vettel's engineer, I would have advised him to give up the place. Because there was 10 laps plus left in the race at that point. Give up the place, hang on Hamilton's bumper, and the next time you're in a DRS zone, you open DRS.
Yeah, it's so hard to catch up to those Mercedes though, like that. I mean,
if you're in the draft and he didn't lose enough speed, and if he'd have pulled over and just let him go, he could have tucked right in behind him, and then like right before a DRS zone, tucked right in behind him, opened the wing up, and went right back by him.
Yeah, maybe.
And there would have been no issues.
Big if.
It is a big if, but there would have been no penalties, no chance of a penalty at that point.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is, if you had the car to win the race, it was a 5-second penalty. You were in the lead. Pull away. All you had to be was 5.000000000.
Yeah, like I'm saying, that car's not that much faster than the Mercedes. Mercedes ultimately is faster, so
he wouldn't have won anyway.
Right.
I mean, it's
all crazy.
I think the penalty was deserved.
Oh,
think the penalty was deserved.
This household didn't think the penalty was deserved. Yeah,
it's a podcast divided.
It is a podcast divided. You want to know what Andrew would have done after that if he had been penalized? He was suggesting that Vettel should have just slowed down, caused Hamilton to be right up on his tail, and do a little dance and cause maybe Hamilton to really mess up. He would have come back with vengeance, Andrew said. So
with vengeance.
It was vengeance.
That's so
I don't know that he really
outside of the
character
that I know to be Andrew Pinkerton.
I know.
But I mean, I don't know what I would have done had I been in the car.
No, you never know what you're gonna do. You're just in the moment, right?
Yeah.
All he knew is he wanted to keep his lead.
Of course he did.
Yeah, don't blame him.
Of course he did.
Don't blame him.
Where are we going from here?
I didn't watch. Did NASCAR run? I heard there was rain.
I was so swamped
busy
this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't watch NASCAR.
I do want to talk about. Did you see the post that I made about the Riversimple car, the Raza?
No, I didn't.
The hydrogen powered car.
I saw it, but I didn't get a chance to read about it.
It's a hydrogen powered hybrid.
Okay.
It has. The company's called Riversimple. They're over in the UK. They're testing this car all over the UK right now. And just in case you're wondering, we have left motorsport. And now we're zero to hybrid again. Andrew and I used to talk about this all the time, so we're going to bring it up again. And I want to get your take on what you think the future of powertrains might be. Just from someone who doesn't really follow it the way that I do, because
right.
I'm just in there and I'm looking at the techie geeky stuff. And I don't think you are.
So we had a friend just lived around the corner from here that actually finagled his car to be hybrid, hydro powered with water. Did you ever meet our friend Dane Carey?
No.
Yeah, so I mean I know about hydropower.
This is hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
This is not hydro. This is hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Sorry.
As in like very combustible.
Yeah.
But zero emissions.
Okay.
Like literally, water comes out of the tailpipe. That's the emissions coming out of a hydrogen powered vehicle. It's a hydrogen fuel cell that powers the generator that generates the electricity for each wheel has its own electric motor. And the little thing, it's a 500 kilogram car, so it's a very light car. I think that has about a 300-mile range. The only problems with it right now, obviously, it's kind of like when electric vehicles were first coming on the scene and you first started seeing the Leaf and obviously Tesla and anything that's a plug-in hybrid. There was nowhere to plug them in when they first came.
Right.
When they first started to emerge, I guess. There's nowhere to refuel a hydrogen-powered vehicle at this point in time. But it's a renewable source of energy, basically.
Okay.
It gets great fuel economy. You don't have to sit for a half hour to however many hours while your vehicle recharges. You could actually treat this as more of a long-range vehicle in the way that we treat our petrol-powered or diesel-powered vehicles that we have now. It's a cool concept to me, and I I guess I'm going down this road. Check out Riversimple. Check out the post that we have on the Facebook page. It's a cool looking little car. It's a cool concept. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I don't think purely electric vehicles, battery powered purely electric vehicles, are the future of transportation.
Well, no, they shouldn't be, because I mean, you're gonna have to do something with those batteries. So what's the infrastructure like to be able to, build these stations across the country?
I mean, no different than when petrol-powered vehicles first came online. There was no such thing as an Exxon, a BP, or a Texaco when Mercedes first built the first petrol-powered car. I mean, it's the same situation where we have an emerging technology that has the ability to disrupt an entire industry. And do the automotive manufacturers jump on board? And if the automotive manufacturers jump on board with this power, Honda had a hydrogen-powered vehicle a decade ago that they paraded all over the world that was very economical and usable. The thing about the Honda when it came out, and BMW had one as well, I'm sure other manufacturers had them as well, but the hydrogen containers, the actual cells that you would pump full of hydrogen, you just if you have a disruption of integrity in a hydrogen fuel cell, it makes a lipo battery look tame compared to the way hydrogen combusts.
Right.
So
that would have me concerned driving that around if I.
Well, I mean, the same can be like have you ever seen a lipo battery go?
No, I have not. Can't say that I have.
They're uncontainable.
Okay.
Like there's like remote control cars. If you have been around RC cars, raced RC cars, everything has gone to lipo, and lipo is lithium ion, and it's just a new type of, well, it's not new anymore, but it's a newer type of battery technology. Lots of energy in a very small cell, and if they burst, they burn at like thousands of degrees. I mean, it's like there have been buildings and houses that have burnt down because of someone's hobby and them not having their lipo batteries contained.
So what do you think they have to build? What kind of container and assurance can they possibly build that these aren't gonna bust?
We've seen Teslas, like one cell ruptures,
right,
and then it cascades,
right,
because there's hundreds of cells in current electric vehicles. There are hundreds of cells involved in these batteries. If one goes, it's a cascade failure, and the car just melts.
Right.
I mean, they don't really have a full containment system for that yet. But they have a better way of encasing the hydrogen.
Yeah, it seems like that's a no-brainer. That's where the focus should be, is on the containment of this cell.
It is, but how do you do it? Like, do you build this?
The same premise of when you go detonate a bomb, right? I mean, sometimes they put it in some kind of container.
Right.
So why couldn't you do something like that?
I was getting ready to say you just make the whole battery containment thing out of the same thing they make the black box on an airplane out of.
Right.
But then the car weighs 43,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is it's either an insanely exotic material. Let's call this insanely exotic material unobtainium. Because that's what you call all insanely exotic materials, because we can't freaking afford it. It's either an insanely exotic material that you make this encapsulation device out of that then places the price point of the vehicle so far out of the reach of even higher level income buyers that are buying Teslas for six figures. I mean, if you truly wanted to build a containment system, you'd have a $250,000 Tesla.
So you're saying if we can come up with something lightweight, durable, contains any combustion, not expensive, we're gonna make millions.
Billions.
And billions. I'm gonna work on that tonight.
Billions of dollars.
I think I'm gonna work on that tonight.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah.
No, it's just interesting. I follow the hybrid and the electric powered, and just alternative power sources pretty closely because it fascinates me, and I know that we are going to run out of dinosaur juice.
Yes.
It's just going to happen.
I don't know when. A long time from now.
Not when we're alive. Not when you and I are alive, unless something that you come across because you're the one that's doing all the health research.
You might live to 400 years old.
I mean, with our level of income, it's not crazy to believe we could live to be, 250, 300 years old.
Just like Moses.
That's no Ricky Bobby.
Yeah,
that was totally Talladega Nights. No, it fascinates me, and I look at all of the things that people are doing to try to push that technology forward, and I think hydrogen is viable. Hydrogen is viable for a couple different reasons in my mind. It's readily available, obviously. It's all around us right now.
Right.
It's being remade constantly, and then the other side of it is we're always trying to find ways to reduce greenhouse gases. That's one of the major concerns of the automotive industry or vehicular industry. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, planes.
Right.
If it has some form of internal combustion or just some form of power plant, you're always looking at what's coming out of the tailpipe, what's coming out of the exhaust. And hydrogen literally puts water back out into the air. There's nothing that comes out of the back of a hydrogen power plant.
And yet it's so dangerous, so it's like...
Well, is it? Like, I'm going to contact Riversimple, and I'm going to try to get them, I want to bring them on the podcast.
Okay.
I really do. Like, there has to
better
be...
do research.
There has to be a spokesperson.
I would imagine.
That is
or maybe we can
preaching
take a road
the
trip.
gospel.
Where are they in England?
I don't know.
Because I go there every once in a while.
I don't know. They're well, I did read I went to their webpage and I looked all over the place, and one of their primary testing grounds is London.
Okay.
They're driving around London.
Oh, sorry, I'm yawning, but it's
coffee
time.
It's really late in the afternoon.
Well, I always do coffee about this time of day.
Are you flagging?
Am I flagging?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I
don't know why. It's been a busy day.
I had a smoothie with an energy boost on the
Good.
way there.
Good. From where?
Planet Smoothie.
Ooh, not too much fruit then.
No, really, it wasn't. It was coffee.
Coffee, see, that's why you're so perky.
Peanut butter.
Oh, my peanut butter's bad.
Peanut butter's delicious.
I know, but it's bad.
Peanut butter's delicious. It's called Java the Nut. You can't go wrong with something called Java the Nut.
I'm sure you can.
So, Planet Smoothie, if you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can reach us at whatever you want to reach us at.
It is fascinating. I mean, I think I'm always a proponent of new technology, and speaking of new technology, Dyson's coming out with a car.
They've been talking about that for a long time.
Oh, they definitely are. I talked to a
Really?
Dyson employee the other day.
Really?
She was not on the vehicle side. She said it's really interesting working for this company because if you don't work in that department, you know nothing about what's going on there.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
they do
everything top secret.
They do pretty crazy stuff.
Even if you're working on the hairdryer, if you're not in the hairdryer department, you're not.
Can that person get us in touch with someone on the automotive side? Because I'd love to talk to them.
So I know how to email anybody in Dyson, so we can just send an email. She told me the secret sauce on how to email somebody.
Very, very interesting.
Yes.
So we're going to try to get Riversimple. We're going to try to get Dyson. We're going to get one of them. I mean, we'll definitely get one of them. And then I've got some contacts. There's another company out there that's doing some really innovative things with transportation, more on the autonomous side.
Okay.
And Andrew and I talked about local motors a little bit when we were at APH.
There's a lot of talk going on about child passenger safety in autonomous cars. Believe it or not.
I think safety in general in autonomous
It
cars.
is, but children in the cars is a big concern too, because we're afraid of what. Well, there's several things, but one in particular, obviously people think that it's okay to fall asleep in your autonomous car, which it's not.
We've just gone crazy techie on you guys. And get used to it.
Yeah.
This is where I live. I'm a geek.
I know, and as we're sitting here talking, I remember I forgot to talk about the W series, so I apologize for that, but because I'd like to give my women some props.
Shay's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that.
She did do so well.
Yeah, well, she's...
But other gals did.
I love her. She's nice.
I haven't met her. Look forward to meeting her. But anyway, so there's all kinds of aspects of autonomous driving. I'm going to have a hard time with it.
What are the concerns from the child safety aspect that are there literally different concerns for the child safety aspect compared to just occupant safety? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean, because people maybe obviously we're concerned that people aren't going to buckle up, period, in autonomous cars. But then when you have a child that's loose in an autonomous car and an adult occupant that decides to fall asleep, and now you have a child that's unsupervised in a car, that can be a number one concern. But there is a whole
that is
blue ribbon panel that I'll have to dive into and figure out what all their other concerns are.
That is a different point of view that I've never heard brought up.
Well, you got
this is why you're cool like that. Yeah, I've never, and it's valid.
Yeah,
it's totally valid. My father worked with a guy. I think this is back in the 80s. It was when cruise control was first becoming like prevalent,
right,
in regular passenger cars. The guy bought a Cadillac. It was one of the first Cadillacs with cruise, and he evidently either didn't pay attention to or completely misunderstood what his salesperson or how his salesperson explained cruise control. And he literally, back in the 80s, thought it was set cruise control, don't pay attention to anything. And the guy set cruise control on the highway, climbed in the back seat, and fell asleep.
How did he even do that? I mean, the car had to have shifted.
I'm sure it did.
That is so bizarre, because it had to have gone haywire before he ever did fall asleep.
Depends on where you're at.
I guess so. That's weird. That's not a very smart guy.
No, it's a stupid guy. It's a very stupid guy. But, I mean...
And here's the problem with all these bells and whistles. So obviously on the Volvo we have driving assist, and you can literally just turn it on and it will drive down the road for you. They don't want you to take your hand off the wheel. If they detect your hand off the wheel, you'll get a signal that says put your damn hand back on the wheel. But if
it knows both your hands are on?
Well, it knows at least one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But if the lines aren't good, which they are not here in the state of Alabama, all of a sudden, it's turned off. It's not detecting those lines. So, we've got some ways to go.
Yeah, Natasha's car has lane assist, and it goes haywire when you get into a construction zone where you have lanes going this way and they're crossing it, and the car's like, oh no!
Yeah, I don't know where to go.
It just freaks out. I don't know whether I don't know when AI is going to get to a point where it can recognize individual situations.
And do you do this? Then you get behind somebody and it's slowing down because the car in front of you is slowing down, which is great. Keeps your distance from the car in front of you, but then you kind of forget. And you're just sitting there cruising it. It's like 60 miles an hour. You could be going 80.
Adaptive cruise is wonderful until you're behind.
And like you're driving for like 20 miles going, wait a minute, I could get over.
Why am I going 48? The first time I went on any longer trip with adaptive cruise was with the SRT cross-country deals that we did, where it was 4 of us. And we just had 4 SRT vehicles, and we went coast to coast and back, and we drove we put 16,000 miles in like 3.5 months on 4 cars. And it was a propaganda tour, but we got to go out and really, really drive these things on a daily basis and like hundreds of miles at a time. Adaptive cruise is really nice.
It is. You feel more energized, I think, when you get to your destination if it's a long trip, because you haven't, had to work that hard.
I mean, it's partly that. I remember the first time we all had radios in the car, and we were talking to each other just because it's all we did for 3.5, 4 months was just drive, and we had to have something to actually interact with each other while we were on these long drives in between shows. and we were coming up on a construction zone, and I keyed up the radio, and I was like, I'm just gonna let the car stop itself. I just want to know. I just have to know. Like, will it really?
Did you have nervous stomach?
Yeah, I was freaking out. Like the other three, they're like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Like, yeah, really. I just need to know. I'm very curious. So I'm left foot hovering over the brake pedal.
Right, of course.
Letting the thing coast, and it slowed it all the way down. Like you can set the distance between you and the car in front of you, and it has 3 presets for however much distance you want in between you and the car in front of you. And I had it on the farthest gap, and when we started getting to the slowdown, it was slowing down. We were running like 75, 80 mile an hour. Yes, we were running 80 mile an hour. We were only supposed to be doing 5 over, but we were doing more than that. And they can't come back on me because I don't work for them anymore. So it starts slowing down, right? So we go from like 75, 80 mile an hour all the way down to about 40. And then it slows down again, and it slows down again, and then it really stops.
Did you get it?
It went haywire, and it started to kind of like really get aggressive with the brakes, and it took it all the way down to about 8 miles an hour, and then it gave it back to me.
Wow.
I thought it would go to a complete stop.
It should.
But it didn't.
It didn't.
And I don't know if that was, because these were, the particular Charger that I was in was a pre-production car. I don't know whether that was something that wasn't calibrated like completely.
Did you report it?
Oh yeah, we definitely did. But it was a limited production Charger. It was a 392 edition, and they only made 392 of these cars, and all of them had a dash plaque. They had 1 through 392. Right. And on the SRT Tour that year, we had our dash plaque was 4 zeros. Like it was the one that they built to make sure that everything was right.
Hey, when Andrew comes back from his trip this summer, we're going to have to hear all about the new 992.
Where's he heading?
Utah, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Could be there for a whole month, training the dealers.
At Miller Motorsport Park?
I think so. Pretty sure.
I don't think it's called Miller anymore.
I don't know what it's called.
But
poor guy. All the instructors get a 2020 Macan to drive the whole month.
Oh.
I know. He's got such a rough life.
Oh. I do miss instructing with Porsche.
Yeah,
it was fun. I mean, I love what I'm doing now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could go back to that with everything else that's going on.
I was thinking. I was wondering if I could be a Porsche driving instructor, but then I'm thinking Andrew probably does not want me coming in cramping his style. Number one, I don't know that I could really do what he does.
You want to be the Porsche global safety advocate?
That would be a perfect job.
I'm sure they probably have something like that.
They do not. Did it just get really dark in here?
Well, we're in Alabama, so the weather is subject to change.
I see light on that side and kind of partly cloudy on that side, but it just all of a sudden got super dark.
I think a cloud is
over us, hovering over us.
A cloud is hovering over us. I don't know how long we've been going. I have no idea.
We'll probably need to wrap it up here soon.
You
so
think?
We don't bore everybody. What do we have on the plate maybe next time? I'm gone for like 2 weeks. I hit LA. I get to hit LA traffic tomorrow.
Sweet.
Right out of the gate.
Do you have a dash cam?
I don't have a dash cam.
We need to get dash cams.
So when I'm out and about?
Yeah, we just because we have the YouTube channel.
That's true.
We need to start populating the YouTube channel.
Okay. Well, go get some dash cams.
I did an event with Porsche at downtown LA Porsche.
Okay.
It was an extended test drive event. I don't know whether you've ever been in downtown LA, but there aren't any good roads.
No, none.
So there's these groups of 8 people that are showing up over a 3 or 4 day period. I can't remember how long we were there, and we had 6 or 7 cars, and I'm in a Panamera at the front, and we're supposed to be going out on this extended Porsche test drive, and all of the other California events that I did were canyon roads and beautiful. I'm up in Carlsbad Canyon, and we're up in Monterey, and
places that Porsche should be.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I get to downtown LA. Downtown LA is a grid.
Right, just like every.
It's a grid. It's just squares. So we literally, and on these test drive events that you do for manufacturers, you try to limit left-hand turns. You don't want to make left-hand turns because that exposes the car. and your guests
Right.
to crossing traffic, and you never know, who's coming the other way.
Right.
So you try to do as many right-hand turns as you possibly can. Left the dealership, turned right. Went down about 7 blocks, turned right. Went down about 10 blocks, turned right. So it was the worst. And all these people are like, we came in for an exciting test drive, and I was like, it was 25 minutes.
Oh gosh, that's funny. Well,
Where do you want to go?
So I'll be in LA and then Denver, and then I head back out to Seattle. So I will be on the
Take
road.
me to Seattle.
I don't know why you like Seattle.
I love it.
Yeah, not my favorite.
No?
And traffic's bad there too.
Go to the Ridge.
Go to the Ridge.
The Ridge is an amazing racetrack.
Okay.
Pacific Raceway, or Speedway, I don't remember what they're calling it. Pacific Raceway has one of the most unbelievable racetracks, like road courses.
Right.
It's so much fun, and it is...
But I'm not going to have a car to drive on it.
You'll have a rental car.
Oh, I will have a run. I'll have a van.
Get the waiver.
I'll get the van. I was going to go to the museum in Tacoma.
Oh, I've been there. It's really pretty metal outs. Like,
It's an ugly looking.
it's an awesome building, and it's the
No.
giant modern aircraft hangar. It's freaking
Oh,
amazing.
that's what it looks like. But
Yeah, it's
not that-
cool.
You know what? We've been really
Peterson?
spoiled. No, it's not
It's not
Peterson.
Peterson.
Oh my gosh, I can find it, but I know exactly.
I've been there. It's cool.
I've been past it 9 million times.
Go
so
there.
I think I have time to go there on Friday
Take
before I leave.
many pictures and shoot
Okay.
many live videos.
All right.
And make me very jealous.
Okay.
You
I'll be
sure I
there.
can't fit in your luggage?
Possibly.
I've lost a little weight.
You're doing great. Stop eating that peanut butter.
I like peanut butter.
I know. Okay, so if you want any of these signs, hit me up in the private message.
I'm gonna take that.
We're going to raise money for Children's Hospital of Alabama. Mac's going to make some money, gas money for his go-kart, and donate something for charity, so that's a good thing.
Cool.
And we'll be back here soon,
Momentarily.
Oh,
and not this Thursday. Thursday after.
tell the date because you might not get this video up.
What is it? What is this Thursday? Here, hang on.
This Thursday is the 13th.
I'm pulling up a calendar because I'll mess it
I'm
up.
telling you, it's the 13th. There's
Okay.
going to be an event in Denver on the
Thursday the 20th
13th. Okay, Thursday the
of
20th
June.
of June.
I will be at Talladega Dirt Track. It's a Thursday night, and they have U.S. sprint cars.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And I am actually, I have gotten involved with this group called the Sim Racing Network, and I produce and commentate on races for the Sim 500 League.
Right.
And one of the commentators that I broadcast with, he actually does promotion for, and he runs the emergency response vehicle and the push off vehicle
Okay.
for U.S. sprint cars.
All right, great.
So I'm gonna go out to Talladega on that Thursday night. If anyone here is anywhere near Talladega, come see sprint cars on this dirt track. It's amazing, and we will have live video from the push car. We'll be out on track.
That'll be.
We'll
I'm bummed I won't be here.
cool.
Oh man, that stinks. Dinner
It's
with Racers has
cool.
a new simulated.
I know. I need to jump in that with Andrew.
Need to jump in that one. So.
Yeah, I need to jump in that with Andrew. Andrew won the first one
He
too.
did. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, he's not slow. He's not slow at all.
Matt,
Thanks for tuning in,
yeah.
y'all. Really appreciate it.
Have a great week. Have a great couple of weeks.
And let us know what you want us to talk about. We'll come up with topics till the cows
We'll
come
ramble
home.
on and on and on.
We're good at it. But yeah, if there's something that is happening or has happened that you really want to talk about or want to hear us talk about, want to join the conversation, we're planning on adding a chat component to these podcasts.
We are?
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
my goodness.
I want a live chat just so people can join in. Like once this goes live,
Right.
we'll have a live chat going, and that way we can actually be interacting with.
We'll just
That'd
have fun.
Be fun.
We'll
Yeah.
have a good time.
That's all I want to do is I just want to have a good time.
Buckle up, stay safe, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
What she said.
Oh, I forgot.
It's on
I could
you.
use this. Click.
Did it work?
Tell you.
Probably stop videoing halfway through. again.
No, it's still running, but it didn't stop.